Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, judges. When a user opens Meta, the price is shown as $0, yet the platform itself is not free. Advertisers pay for access for something commercially valuable, users' attention, data, and reach. This model creates genuine benefits by funding free communication, information, and entertainment. But it also raises a central economic question. Does the market reward attention that users knowingly choose, or attention that platforms are able to capture? We argue that the attention economy creates both value and distortion. Our policy therefore preserves the value, corrects the distortion, and avoids unnecessary damages to the market. So to us, Meta is a two-sided market, connecting users and advertisers. Each side becomes more valuable as participation on the other side grows. More users give advertisers a larger audience, a larger consumer base. Advertising revenue then funds the platform's free services. And these are known as cross-side network effects. This explains the unusual price structure. Users are highly price sensitive, but they also provide the platform's key inputs such as attention, data, and reach. Charging users would reduce participation and weaken the product sold to advertisers. Advertisers, by contrast, receive measurable commercial returns and therefore have a higher willingness to pay through CPM and CPC auctions. Meta is not maximizing revenue for each side separately, it's maximizing the value of the platform as a whole. The principle is simple. Subsidize the side that creates the strongest network effect, and then charge the side that can monetize it. Targeted advertising is more valuable because advertisers purchase more than space on a screen. They purchase a higher probability of reaching the right customers. Behavioral data reveals likely interests, needs, and purchase intentions. Better matching raises expected click-through and conversion rates, increasing advertisers' willingness to bid. Our illustrative index shows this very clearly. Non-targeted advertising has a value of 1.0, while targeted advertising reaches a much higher, 250% higher target of 2.5. Data also affects market structure. More users create more data. More data improves the targeting, and better targeting attracts more advertisers. And all this generates even more data. This feedback loop produces data-driven economies of scale and barriers to entry. As shown here, the top 5 platforms accounted for around 65% of global digital advertising spending in 2023. Platforms, therefore, do not merely sell advertising space, they sell a greater probability of reaching the right customer.
Users do benefit, and that is essential to our argument. At a zero monetary price, they receive communication, entertainment, and information. Many would pay more than zero, so the platform creates genuine consumer surplus. Network effects increase this benefit as more people and communities join. However, a zero monetary price does not mean zero effective price. Users also pay with time, data, privacy, attention, and possible exposure to harm. The graph shows the difference. The informed optimum is Q star, where marginal benefit equals effective marginal cost. If users underestimate the cost, observed use rises to Q0. The area between them represents welfare loss from overuse. This distortion is plausible because platforms understand their ranking systems far better than users do, while present bias and engagement maximizing defaults can weaken self-control. The evidence is striking. 72% had tried to reduce social media use, and 54% of those users reported being unable to successfully do so. Users therefore receive real value, but that value may be overstated when hidden non-monetary costs are ignored. The central failure is not attention itself. It is the gap between the attention users would knowingly choose and the attention platforms can profitably capture. 4 forces create that gap. First, information asymmetry means platforms understand how ranking systems influence behavior, while users see only the final feed. Second, present bias creates internalities. Users may gain immediate satisfaction while imposing future costs on themselves. Third, some costs spill over to families, schools, employers, and healthcare systems as negative externalities. Finally, Data concentration weakens entry and reduces pressure to offer healthier alternatives. These forces create an unchosen attention wedge where Q market exceeds Q star. Engagement is therefore overproduced because its private commercial return exceeds its fully social return.
Our core solution is an algorithmic choice mandate. For large platforms, the non-profiled chronological feed becomes the default. Personalized feeds remain available, but only through explicit and informed opt-in. Before choosing, users must be told what data will be used, what the algorithm optimizes, and how the choice can be reversed. The two phone screens show the change. In the current design, personalization is selected automatically and the chronological option is buried. Under the mandate, the chronological feed is selected first, while personalization remains clearly available. The product is not banned, only the default changes. This creates a disclosure moment, reduces default-driven overconsumption, and forces platforms to earn opt-in through genuine user value. The policy works by changing incentives. Defaults matter because users face inertia, status quo biases, and decision costs. At present, doing nothing benefits the platform. Under the mandate, doing nothing protects the user. The mechanism is straightforward. The default changes, automatic exposure falls, platforms must earn opt-in, and algorithm quality becomes the profit lever. Platforms can still profit from personalization, but only when users actively choose it. Competition therefore shifts from capturing users through the default to persuading them through quality. Consumer sovereignty rises, valuable personalization is preserved, and exit risk remains low because neither advertising nor algorithms are banned. Our verdict is to adopt this as the core policy. It corrects the choice distortion without destroying the product.
An opt-in matters only when consent is genuine. We therefore require consent to be informed, revocable, and symmetric. Informed means users see what personal data will be used, what objective the algorithm optimizes, and how rankings will change. Revocable means a one-click return to the non-personalized feed, a safe preference, and no repeated pressure prompts. Symmetric means an opt-in and opt-out require the same number of steps, receive equal vision prominence, and avoid dark patterns. Each rule addresses a specific distortion. Information reduces asymmetry, revocability lowers switching costs, symmetry prevents default bias from being exploited. The policy does not ban algorithmic feeds. It removes the platform's power to choose the default on the user's behalf. Improving choice does not eliminate every social cost. Our second instrument is therefore a light-capped C-light attention levy. This is a Pigovian levy on advertising revenue triggered only when the average daily use exceeds an independently set healthy use benchmark. At or below the benchmark, the levy is zero. Above it, the change rises with a fraction of the use exceeding the benchmark while the rate remains low and capped. Why is the second instrument needed, you may ask? Because the distortions operate on different margins. The algorithmic choice mandate approves the user's consumption decisions, but platforms may still benefit from increasing total engagement while some costs continue to fall on the user's future selves and wider society. The levy acts on the production margin by making excessive engagement costly at the margin. This follows the Tinbergen principle. Two distinct targets require two different instruments. The levy must remain light because time is a noisy proxy. The heavy charge could create deadweight loss, reduce beneficial use, and be passed on to smaller advertisers. Therefore, the aim is to price the excessive attention, not all the attention. The logic resembles the UK sugar levy, which is similar where they targeted the harmful attribute without banning the underlying product. So now a levy can create government failure, so we must be careful with its design. Measurement is uncertain, and a levy set too high can reduce potential beneficial use. Platforms may also pass on costs to advertisers through higher CPM and CPC prices, disproportionately affecting smaller businesses. Finally, a corrective levy could become revenue-seeking regulation. Our safeguards, which we designed, keep the policy limited and testable. A low statutory cap, a 12-month measurement period, independent audits, ring-fence revenue, a 3-year sunset review, and an automatically expiry unless measurable benefits are demonstrated. We truly thought of everything. The principle is reversibility. If the levy does not improve net welfare, it should not continue by default. This slide brings the evaluation together. The main risks are uncertain measurement, cost pass-through, and regulatory overreach. The corresponding safeguards are a cap, a longer measurement window, independent auditing, ring fencing, review, and automatic expiry. This is why C-Light is a supporting instrument, not the core policy. Choice architecture corrects the main distortion directly. The levy prices only the remaining harm that design rules cannot remove.
We also considered two broader alternatives. Option A is data minimization. It protects privacy and weakens profiling. However, behavioral data supports useful matching as well as harmful profiling. Broad restriction could destroy productive advertising value without changing the engagement objective, while leaving large ecosystems with strong first-party advantages. Option D is structural separation. It directly targets market power and reduces vertical conflicts, but also breaks two-sided efficiencies and may weaken the advertising subsidy that funds free access. It could create double marginalization if both separated firms at their own margin. More importantly, the social platform could still operate an engagement maximizing feed. We therefore reject A as too broad for this failure and reserve D as an antitrust backstop rather than the core response. The comparison table makes our judgment explicit. Algorithmic choice is the only option rated strong across all four criteria: failure fit, preservation of consumer surplus, exit safety, and feasibility. Data minimization only partially fits the failure and weakly preserves surplus. A capped attention levy can price residual harm, but measurement difficulties make it unsuitable as a main intervention. Structural separation imposes major costs without directly improving users' choice. Option B, because it corrects the choice architecture, producing unchosen attention, preserves beneficial matching, gives user a credible low-cost exit, and is more feasible than structural intervention. Our preferred architecture is therefore B as the core, supported by a low and capped C-light levy for residual harms. The hybrid works because each distortion is matched with the instrument best suited to correct it. Information asymmetry and default inertia are addressed by the algorithmic choice mandate. Residual internalities and social spillovers are addressed by the cap attention levy. Together, these instruments restore informed choice, price remaining harm, preserve advertising funded access, and keep personalization available. Exit risk is controlled through caps, audits, and review. Two distinct distortions therefore require two complementary instruments, producing higher net welfare while preserving free access.
We conclude by distinguishing between attention that is valuable and attention that is trapped. We preserve what works: genuine consumer surplus, advertising-funded free access, and useful personalization. We correct what fails: captured attention, information asymmetry, default inertia, and engagement beyond the welfare maximizing level. And we recommend a targeted policy mix: algorithmic choice as the core, with a low C-light levy only for residual harms. The objective is not to dismantle the attention economy. It is to ensure that attention reflects informed choice rather than manipulation, inertia, or hidden social cost. Platforms should compete to earn attention, not make disengagement difficult. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.